Have you ever wondered whether the thing you're meant to do has been there all along, quietly waiting for you to finally notice it? In this episode, I'm chatting with artist Bridie O'Brien about the creative path that doesn't always look neat from the outside. We talk about what it means to come to painting after years of living, working, traveling, performing, and why those years are not wasted time. This is a conversation about creative timing, confidence, solitude, bold beginnings, and the courage it takes to take your art seriously, even when the path hasn't been straightforward. You are going to love this episode. This is episode 120 of the Paint, Rest, Repeat podcast. You can find all the relevant links and the show notes over at permissiontopaint.co/starting-later. Welcome to Paint, Rest, Repeat, the podcast for artists who are ready to ditch the overwhelm, follow their passion, and build a thriving art life on their own terms. I'm Rose, an Aussie artist, mum of two, and creative business coach who knows exactly how wild, wonderful, and wobbly the artist journey can be, because I've lived it. I left behind a safe teaching career to follow my heart into art, and now my work hangs in galleries and major art fairs across Australia. After years of coaching, I'm passionate about helping you ditch the starving artist myth, stick it to the naysayers, and design a creative life that truly lights you up. So if you're ready for real talk, practical tips, and heartfelt encouragement, you found your podcast. Hit follow and let's dive in. Bridie, I wanted to start with this idea that you have shared on your website, that art kept sort of circling patiently because, you've already done so many amazing things in your creative life, particularly in your music and your travel and that sort of performance realm. What was painting actually doing, do you think, in the background for all of those years?
I think, quite simply, I was painting in my mind. I grew up in a household of oil paints. My nana was Polish and she was an oil painter in a farmhouse, and my father was an amateur painter, landscape painter and cartoonist. On the other side of the family, my great-grandmother was a beautiful artist. She used to do little berry sculptures and leaves and stuff. I don't know what you'd call it, where you pick up the nature and you put it on a board. So art was always central, especially coming strong through my father's side, being a farmer, but also this cartoonist, and very, very good. Not professional, because farming was the profession. So when I say it was circling in the background, as a child, I was always a very good drawer and I always did art as a subject, but I didn't have it front and center, like I'm going to grow up and be an artist. That was never on the cards. So it was always in me, but I just didn't have perhaps self-belief or the opportunity or the stars aligning for it to be the perfect storm to jump into the art ocean and make some waves. But I also, looking back now at the age of 46, is thank goodness for that, because I don't think I would be as bold and as decisive as I am now if I didn't have 38, 40 years of experience before I started to pick up the palette knife. If I started to do that in my early 20s, I don't know if I would have the life experience to interpret nature the way I do now as a 46-year young woman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad the way my life undulated through the channels of music, and there was art patiently waiting in the background, ready for my awakening and my wisdom to give it a really good go.
Oh, that's just really, really magic. It's like trusting the pathway and trusting as things unfold. And it's about that almost natural readiness that needs to
And
find
human
its way.
beings are amazing, aren't they, Roz?
Yeah.
Like, it would be perhaps somewhat of a shame or even a waste to be upfront if you were just to focus on one particular thing for your whole career. Especially this day and age, we human beings have the ability to learn something professionally within the space of 10 years. And most of us live, if we're lucky, 80, 90, perhaps even 100 now. So if you think about it, if you put your mind to something, you can become extremely good at that thing in 10 years' time. Obviously, there's masters and we spend our whole life mastering something, and I'm a big fan of that as well, that notion. But keeping back in the thinking of, I've never cooked bread before, I might start when I'm 55, and by the time I'm 65, I could, if I wanted to, open a bakery. That's the possibility of life. And I think people need to remember that when you're never too old. There's too many amazing stories of people in their 70s having this awakening and doing something remarkable. And that is the kind of juice and petrol and diesel and fire that burns in my heart, because I know at 46, gosh, I could be back on the stages again when I hit 60 playing piano. Who knows?
Backtracking just a little bit for
Yeah.
our listeners today, if they are new to your work, because you did use the word bold before, like bold enough to take your art
Well,
seriously.
I just use that because everyone else uses that when they describe me. I don't set out to be bold at all. A lot of people are using that word around me, so I thought I'd just jump on the bandwagon.
I like that. I think, sometimes we do have to listen to the people, don't we? And if we notice the trends in their words about our work, but I can see that in your work. I think the boldness, rather than bold colors necessarily, comes from the confidence around the use of your materials and
Yeah.
the way you lay out shape, I feel, on your canvas. But maybe you can sort of describe to our listeners, what you paint now, just so they can get a bit of an idea.
Well, I think I'm on an intuitive and very authentic wicket at the moment, because it's all ties into the landscape. I love nature and I love the landscape. And I don't set out to do something different, but the more I'm listening to other people who come to me with some feedback, is they find it very refreshing and sort of new, the way I'm doing it, which is great. What another thing is fabulous with the feedback I'm getting is they've never sort of seen this kind of style before, or better still, they say, I know it's a Bridie when I see it in my feet, like they can identify it. So I think that's really good for me, because I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm not trying to figure out my style. I'm actually don't really think about it too much at all, which I think is accidentally working really well in my favor, because I get into these flow states. I'm not painting for anybody else, and I'm certainly not painting to sell, just painting because I enjoy it. And the mark making is very intuitive. There's a lot of music that happens in the background. And I'm trying my hardest to capture what I think is the landscape from my memory or from my reference photos. And what often comes out is a very unusual, warped, surreal version of that. So therefore you have this creation, and that's what people connect with.
I wonder the fact that you haven't really had to sort of seek a style, which I know sounds so external, but maybe that fact comes from your knowledge of yourself.
It's like you spend several decades with being an artist, like being an active artist when it comes to painting, in the peripheral. You know what you could do, because you dream about it and you think about it, and you daydream in your mind what you would do if you were an artist. And then one day you wake up and you do have the paint. So because all of that daydreaming, it's like you've done it. I always imagine if I went to jail and I lost my guitar and they wouldn't give me a guitar and I'm in jail for 10 years, I could, draw some lines on the cement and I could visualize playing the notes of the guitar, and I'd be practicing in my mind. So when I got released, I mean, this is a dire analogy, but you understand, you've already been practicing in your mind. So you're not too shabby when you come out. You can remember how to play the chords.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a bit of that. I'm imagining, and then all of a sudden I'm thrown right into it and it's familiar.
It's like the voice was there anyway. The voice is you.
Oh, my father was a farmer who used to give sheep a mohawk and then paint the sheep mohawk bright pink and purple.
Oh, I love him.
Right? So you do, and cartoons of all of the shearers in the foot wrap flat style on the shearing shed walls. And then you've got your Nana, who is a beautiful still life artist with the old masters of Europe, Eastern Europe, coming out in her painting. And, darling, pass me that oily rag. Like, that's how I grew up. It was always singing in the back of my mind, but life didn't present the perfect storm for me to become a professional artist until I hit 39, 40. The perfect storm was the COVID, the loss of my guitar students and my professional musician money-making abilities, and also I used to supplement my income as a technical director for live events. All of that disappeared with COVID, and so all I had was my own guitar playing, sourdough bread making, or taking out my old drawing books and my old scribbles from a life of meandering on the page and going, I'm ready, I think, actually. I'm just going to go and do it. I had $2,000 sitting in my account. That was what I had. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go and spend $1,000 on oil paints and acrylic paints and I'll just start. So I just started with a bang, but I did have the confidence of the meandering, the daydreaming, the background, the artistic blood, the music, and my peripheral. Everyone around me is either an artist, a musician, a poet, a crazy cat, someone who's got a big heart, a humanist. It's all around, so it's easy to jump in. But you're right, you do have to have confidence, and I think I did actually have that at the time to be brave.
It's amazing that we do need that final, like, no matter how confident you are and no matter who you're surrounded by, you do almost need that final elbow in the ribs or that final little, boot in the bum in a certain direction.
That's right, Roz, because that's what COVID gave us. You got two ways to look at it. You can be all caught up in the mayhem and the devastation, and I'm sure a lot of people were who, if it affected them in an adverse way. But if you're lucky enough to escape all that, you could also look at it like, my gosh, how fragile this life is, how quickly it literally could be taken away, and how uncertain all of these notions of the stock market and government and everything just crumbles. So why not? Why not harvest confidence from that scenario? Because that's what I did. And I just went straight in and went, I think I'm going to be a good painter maybe in 10 years' time, so I better start today. That's how I remember saying it to myself, because of the 10-year blocks that we can get professional at something. So I thought, if I start now and be confident, and I'll make all the mistakes and I'll fumble, but if I be confident and start now, maybe by the time I'm 50, I might be good. And then I could do another 10 years and get better. But it was never about trying to impress anybody. It was always about, I wonder how, if I am good at it and I enjoy it, isn't that like the halfway step in life? The other half is to make money from it. If you put those two things together, you buy yourself a new guitar. That's what happens, Rod.
I'm just going to quickly pop in here because if this conversation is sparking something in you around your own art, I'd love to invite you to join the waitlist for Art for the Heart. Art for the Heart, or AFH as we often call it, is my online membership for artists who want support, encouragement, practical guidance, and a beautiful creative community around them as they keep showing up for their art. Whether you're wanting to deepen your creative practice, grow your confidence, build your art business, or find a more sustainable rhythm as an artist, there's a pathway inside Art for the Heart to support you. Doors open at different times throughout the year, and waitlisters always here first. So if you'd love to be invited when enrollment opens next, head to permissiontopaint.co/AFH or click the link in the show notes. All right, let's jump back into the episode. If you are listening in podcast land, go and check out the YouTube version of this interview because you'll be able to see the fabulous guitars behind Bridie, as well as some of your work is there as well. Is that your work?
Oh, yes, it is my work.
Yes.
I mean, you would know this, Roz. The whole house is just every wall space possible has got a painting drying on it.
Accurate. Your house must smell amazing. I actually really love that smell of oils.
Yeah, there's paintings everywhere. So the double garage I've repurposed as the painting studio.
Yes.
So then I had to put up a carport to protect the car from the Canberra hail. And then every bedroom in this home is a painting room, a paintings drying room. But I try and keep the lounge room and the kitchen area for dry paintings so no one's too overwhelmed. And I try to keep the paint out of the house because I destroyed the last house. Like literally destroyed it with all of the paint everywhere.
Because where were you living last? You're now in Canberra. Were you in Sydney before that?
Yes, I was in Sydney for nearly 30 years.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and I've been in Canberra for 2. So,
Okay.
you know, people say, where are you from? And I go, but I'm a proud Canberran now. But I was in Sydney most of my adult life, actually from the age of about 14 and a half.
Oh, okay. That's pretty early. But you mentioned you grew up in Young, right? I have a good friend from Young.
Well, I didn't grow up there. I was just born there. But I went to boarding school in Sydney at the age of 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then I never left.
Mm-hmm.
But the family and parents and siblings and everything, they're always been in the country. I was the one that went to Sydney. And then I just stayed because it was,
Did I see that you have your work as part of your high school's exhibition?
Yeah, I got contacted a few weeks ago now by the high school that I went to saying that they're putting on they didn't know that I was an ex-student. So it was just a
Oh,
coincidence.
wow.
They have these charity art events and they invited me to be a part of it. And they've had Jasper Knight and a few other Archibald winners and finalists, and they do a mixture of professional and emerging, and they put on this art exhibition, St. Vincent's College in Potts Point, and they put it
Yes.
on, and and then 33% goes to charity, which is
Okay.
great. And this charity is supporting women and survivors of domestic violence, which is fantastic. So it's a great cause. So I was like, yeah, I'll be a part of that. And I'm an ex-student. And so they all thought, wow, that's amazing. So I was there in my formative years, but I actually left in year 12 because I got the music scholarship to go to the Australian Institute of Music. So I left in year 12 and did my HSC over that way.
Okay.
In Surrey Hills.
Oh, what a journey. So you really have been everywhere.
Well, yeah, I guess full-on bush country girl, then Sydney boarding school, and then straight from like a Catholic girls' boarding school into the Institute of Music where boys were rolling joints in maths class and tapping their drumsticks while we're learning mathematics and English. That was the Institute of Music in the late 90s.
Wow.
And then going out for a smoke during, recess.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, what is this place? So different to my strict.
Slight contrast.
Oh my gosh. But I learned quickly. But I got my HSC and did well. And then I just sort of, after school finished, I just went on the musical journey for a decade.
Yeah.
I just went crazy with that.
Amazing. Gosh, I love that. So you've actually mentioned in, some of your bio as well that music was your oxygen. I love that. That's really, really beautiful. What did music give you? And, maybe what did it teach you as well about creativity generally, being a creative person?
Well, music gives any child confidence. That is the number one thing that a child will receive by becoming fluent in a musical language or an instrument. They'll have the confidence to be alone, and they'll have the confidence to play music, which is the honey that everyone else comes to be around. So, music gave me confidence, and then maybe I filtered and distilled that confidence later in life to be able to step into painting with the ease that I felt that I did. I mean, obviously there's bumpy roads, but I don't like to talk about the negative. Looking back, it was quite easy to do the switch across. Yes, so music gave me the confidence to do that.
What did you find has translated over? Because I always find this quite interesting, this idea of being a creative person and it not necessarily relying on the actual form of creativity.
Well, with music, it's indescribable almost. A lot of people will say it's hard to describe what it feels like to play an instrument to another person who doesn't know what it's like to play an instrument. It's like you're stepping into this glorious, star-laden alternate universe, and you understand how to touch people's emotions without speaking or even physically touching them. Music is, we don't know how to describe it, do we? It makes us feel deeply and we don't know even why. Sometimes the musician will break the rules of music, whether it's a bend or a trill. That is the sprinkle of stardust that I use when I'm painting. So a traditional painter who does a traditional landscape may never use a touch of bold orange or red in the mountain or some pink in the snow. They probably wouldn't do that. But the music inside me says, yes, do that, because I feel like there is that colour sometimes when I look at it, and it's a little bit cheeky and it's a little bit poetic, and why not?
And it's about the feelings, really, isn't it? It's about the emotions. Like I can see the parallel there between the music and the art. Like
100%.
that, and the ability to to capture a feeling and to impact others through that. But also, you talked about music being, stepping into an alternate sort of space and universe, and that also parallels with that state of flow when you're creating. I wonder, are you aware of those parallels when you're painting or when you're making your art? Do you consciously see any similarities between the music and the art, or not so much?
No, I don't so much do it. I just try and be as loose as possible. I don't even analyze. I don't even try and set up a studio for flow space. The more nonchalant I am about it, the better the outcomes. There's the routine. I mean, there's the discipline is you go in in the morning and you put on your music list that you want to play and you set up your board, and then you know what you want to paint and you know how you want it to turn out, and then you just go for it.
Yeah.
And it takes 1 to 3 days to complete, depending on how intricate or big it is. If I was to go in there any other way, I wonder if this gallery would like it, or I wonder if this person will like it if I do this, or maybe I'll impress this traditionalist if I do anything like that. It's a flop. It had to be scraped off. Oh my God, just don't worry about it. No, the best thing you can do is to be free of overanalyzing oneself.
Yeah. Create the art for you.
Create the art for you
Mm-hmm.
and just be joyful. Always remember how fragile life is. If you just keep that front and center and you develop that thick skin, then nothing can hurt you. In that first week of buying those art supplies with my $1,000 I had tucked away, I was like, I think I can develop this. I think if I practice and dive into it, I can develop it. Now, for the previous 10 years, when I'm not performing music, I'm supplementing in the technical events world. A lot of that time was at the Art Gallery New South Wales, running their audio visuals and their invited professors on art in the auditoriums. So I had a pseudo education in art history just by being there.
Wow.
No one could take that away from me. Some technicians maybe could zone out and not pay attention. Not little Bridie. I was just honed in like I was part of the audience, because I was. So what I took from that as well was like how much I gravitated towards the Ukraine and Russian Impressionism. And I didn't know why, but if I backtrack to that first week of painting, I'm like, okay, time's running out because the world's so fragile. I need to dive into Russian Impressionism because that's what I identify with. And I need to figure out how to take the elements of that, because there's so much music and poetry in that kind of painting. It's just remarkable. Just the tiniest little brush marks, the right color, the right time. It can look like a dog's breakfast up close, and then you step back and it's just perfect. Oh my gosh. Abstract realism, right? That's what it is. And it's just like, so that I knew I wanted to be that kind of painter, but I had a long way to go to get good. So I just dove straight in and I made a professional website on week 2.
I love this, Bridie. Just gung ho.
I had technical skills. I did some HTML editing. I went the business option straight away. And then the other $1,000 I had saved up, I bought a professional camera. So I had some paints and a camera, and that was the money that I had saved gone. So even though I didn't really have the skills yet, I presented professionally from day 1 or week 2.
Mm.
And I went just from that point onwards, I just worked 6, 7 days a week for the first, well, I have not stopped working. I think I've sold over 300 paintings now.
Yeah, amazing.
And I work 6 days a week, and I do the photography myself on the stand, making it perfect. And I run the website.
Do you feel like you work, Bridie?
I feel like I work when I do the admin, but I'm so excited to get the painting released because there's a lot of work that goes into that. People don't realize. So it is work, but it's exciting work. And it's not without injury. I've just gotten over a terrible RSI, tennis elbows,
Oh.
golfer's elbow.
What are you going to do, Bridie? Because you've got the Melbourne Art Fair coming up, right?
That's all right. I just do it. I'm from rough stock. You just do it till you can't do it anymore. But there's some measurements in place. I think I hurt myself because I was painting for an exhibition and it was through the Canberra winter and palette knife and large scale work.
Oh, yeah.
I just went a bit crazy. I went a bit too hard. And the x-ray or the scan came back and all of my bone had cracked in my elbow and all of the tendons were torn like rope. So that was a terrible 10 months.
So being an artist comes with a health warning. I didn't realize.
100%. Well, for painters like myself, big palette knife work, heavy oil paint,
Yeah.
and doing everything yourself, it can be dangerous if you don't take some breaks, I've learned.
And question, Bridie, do you work on canvas then or board?
I do a bit of everything, but mainly canvas because now I'm in this art fair cycle. Well, I'm riding that wave. I don't know how long that wave will last, but at the moment it's really good. It's really good for me. So what's working well there is, getting the canvases and the Tasmanian sustainable oak frames already coming packaged.
Yeah, fantastic.
And then I've got the whole package to present to the client. So it's like you paint, it takes 4 to 5 months for my work to dry. And then off to the art fair. When I'm sort of in a more mysterious Russian mood, I will go out sometimes on my motorbike and paint on the boards and then slot them in the side saddles. And then you've got a couple of boards that I can take to my local framer here in Canberra. It's a bit of everything, really. The only thing I don't do is paint on paper.
What did you say? Mysterious Russian mood? I love that. Because you've got Polish heritage, you said, somewhere in the mix. So that,
Yeah. Yeah, my father's mother was Polish.
Yeah.
She grew up here, but she was born over there.
Yeah.
And then mad Irish all the way across on all the other sides.
So, your art obviously is gorgeous. We met through fair. Did we meet through fairs originally?
I think we met at TOEF.
Yes.
The other art fair.
Yes. So, looking back, Bridie, what do you wish that you'd understood earlier about being an artist or living a creative life? Maybe if you go back to like high school version of you before you chose your, at least your initial path.
Well, here's a big difference. Musician Bridie was surrounded by people and had a lot of friends and comrades and there's a sounding board and a community. It also could tie into the fact that this is a little bit before everyone had their face in an iPhone. But the music community, you're playing 3 nights a week maybe, gig, and then there's socialization. Artist Bridie works alone 6 days a week, is fairly isolated because I'm right down south in the beautiful countryside of South Canberra. I'm obviously not the kind of person who wants to travel 45 minutes in to have any sort of nightlife. I'm over that. I enjoy solitude. But it is a very, very lonely life, which again ties back to, thank goodness, I had the confidence of music and my undulating career in that helped me develop an affinity for solitude in a way, which means I don't mind it too much, but it should be stated that to truly be a professional artist, you have to be comfortable with the silence and the alone time and the making the decisions yourself. That is something that I wasn't aware of at the time.
Less people to bounce off.
Yeah. So I'm comfortable with it now. You do have the days that you wish you had people around to chat through things like you did. That's why the art fairs are great. You have to learn to respect yourself and to love yourself and to believe in yourself.
And to meet your needs as well, I think because it is quite isolated, working out what you need to feel good. So if you need a couple of people to bounce your ideas off, or if you need to go to fairs or exhibitions to be amongst other people,
I think it's good now. The fairs are great. I feel like I'm in a really good swing now, but it's taken 6 years to be in this swing. And the swing is simply the discipline and the learning and then the action of doing it. And then you repeat that. And then you take the result of that to the art fair and you socialize and you meet amazing people like yourself, Roz, and you connect with other artists. Most importantly, you do connect with collectors because that is what pays the bills, and you make relationships because, funnily enough, a lot of my collectors are VIP collectors, 3 or more pieces, and that seems to be a real trend, which is amazing and fantastic. But there's the cycle. Alone time, create, discipline, keeping positive, and then showing it off at the art fair, making some money, buying the supplies straight away again, securing the money for the next fair, and then maybe you look at it and go, great, now I can go on that holiday and get some inspiration for a new series. That's how I live my life.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
It might not suit everyone, but a cycle, I like a cycle.
No, it doesn't suit anyone. It suits me, and I'm child-free, and I love that. And I don't have some joys that people with children have. I have other joys, and one of the freedoms that I'm very aware of is the freedom to travel. That said, I do have 2 dogs who are very needy.
What type of dogs have you got, Bridie?
And they're little princess boys who are extremely needy, and they need high-end carers that are extremely expensive when we go away. So it's almost similar, same but different. But yeah, I have he's down there sleeping, Maltese Terrier and mini Foxy. So very high-end, highly emotional, very needy dogs, but beautiful.
We had a Fox Terrier when I was younger and also a Jack Russell. They were both insane.
Yeah. They're gorgeous, so smart. So smart and so loving.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bridie, for joining me today. I've really loved learning more about your journey. It's just been so inspirational. Quickly, before we wrap up, I know you've got 2 art fairs coming up. Do you want to just share with our listeners where you will be and when? Do you remember your dates?
I've got the Affordable Art Fair in Melbourne. Are you going to be there?
Not Melbourne. Sadly, not Melbourne, but I will be at the Sydney one.
Okay, perfect. Well, we've got August, I think it's the 27th of August, Affordable Art Fair Melbourne. Then we've got St. Vincent's College Potts Point. There's a 3-day exhibition kicking off on the 12th of September, which I'll be going to. Then we have, well, look, I'm not accepted yet. Fingers crossed that we get into the handmade market in 19th, 20th of September. 2 weeks ago, we had a great handmade market, sold loads and had so much fun. So I hope they have us back. Yep. And then in November, around the 8th of November, we've got the 4 days of the Affordable Art Fair in Sydney. So we're doing that as well. Happy days. Yeah.
Super active. I'm loving it.
Yeah. That's it. Looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much. I have loved our chat. And for everyone listening today as well, please go over to check out Bridie's work. Her links are in the show notes. Thanks again, Bridie. It was an absolute pleasure to chat with you today.
Thanks, Roz. Thanks for having me.